Quite a few people have been asking me about COVID-19 and the different types of grants and allowances offered by the government, and I've been trying to answer those questions. I know quite a few other people have also been asking those questions. In fact, it's been information overload, in fact, on social media and through emails, which is fantastic in one way because everybody's trying to chip in, help out as much as they can through this particular crisis, which is always good to see. But obviously with so much information, it's hard to kind of get down to the nitty gritty and see what's available. So the purpose of this video really is to share an outline of the information to give you a bit more direction, because a lot of people don't know where to go or what the criteria is. So I'll share my take on my understanding of some of the key things you need to focus on or bear in mind to help you through this crisis. And I've got no doubt you'll make it through the crisis and hopefully you'll be bigger and better at the other end, because there'll be more opportunities for all of us, and it's a good chance for us all to work together and help one another through these challenging times. So the first thing that the government has offered is the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme, which is fantastic. It's a bit like the old EFG scheme with some changes. So I'll just go through some of the criteria that I think you need to bear in mind. And if you've already seen it, good. If you haven't, hopefully this is going to add some value. So this is available to businesses who have at least 50% of their income through trading income. So if you are a buy-to-let landlord and you've got 100% income coming through your investment business, then you won't qualify. So 50% or more of your turnover and your income has to be from a trading activity. And the loan that you take out or want to take out has to be for business purposes, which is quite straightforward really, because I assume most people will need it for business purposes. And the turnover limit is 45 million. So if your turnover is less than 45 million, you qualify. That's quite generous compared to the old EFG loan. And the maximum facility you can get is £5 million. From that 5 million, £250,000 or up to £250,000 can be unsecured. But this isn't guaranteed, by the way. This is at the discretion of the lender. So if they choose and they think your business is viable and they want to support you, then they can give you up to £250,000 unsecured. Any amount above that, you'll have to provide security. And some people are concerned and trying to get funding today or straight away because they think the money might run out. The government has made it very clear that this is a demand-led loan system scheme. So the money will not run out as long as people need it, they meet the criteria, and the lenders are happy to do all the due diligence and the checks and balances to give out the loans. The money will not run out, so you don't need to worry about that whatsoever. For those loans that are going to be paid after the 31st of December 2020, which I assume will be most people, then there's a few things you need to bear in mind. The first is that the amount of lending you can get will be up to 25% of your turnover in 2019. Secondly, or the other is, so up to 25% of your turnover in 2019, or 2 times your annual wage bill as at 2019. And the third one is you can get the loan based on self-certification, depending on your liquidity needs for the next 18 months. So those are the 3 things that lenders will be looking at. So I think basically what you need to work out is what your turnover is for 2019 and see if 25% of that, what that equates to, and then compare that to 2 times your annual salary bill and see what that comes to. And if any of those 2 are within what you're looking for, then fine. If not, then you can self-certify and create a business plan and a cash flow statement to show your liquidity needs over the next 18 months and self-certify for that. The third one for smaller businesses I think will be more challenging, so the first 2 are probably a more viable option. There are about 40 lenders who are part of the scheme here, so there's plenty of facility available and options. The high street banks, Barclays, Lloyds, TSB, and quite a few of the others, just to name a few. are offering this facility. Their systems are pretty slow. They are taking quite a bit of time to get back to people, so you'll have to be patient with them. They are trying their best, but as you can imagine, the demand is high and pretty much everybody is trying to get a loan. Something which I think you should bear in mind is if you weren't loan worthy or credit worthy before this crisis hit, it's unlikely you are going to get a loan. So the criteria, and the stringent criteria in fact being applied by these lenders, is that you should have been credit worthy and loan worthy before the crisis. So if you had a, let's say, a not so good business, or a business that was really struggling and you weren't able to get a loan, it's unlikely, not impossible, but it's highly unlikely that any of those lenders will want to make you part of the scheme and give you a loan. So this isn't money for all. This is basically viable businesses who are struggling, but with the support, they can demonstrate that after this crisis, they can repay the loan and that they will have a viable business thereafter. So those are some of the things that you need to bear in mind. There's plenty of information available online, and if you want a link to some of the information, just add it to the comments below if you're seeing this video on social media, and I'll happily post those links for you. Secondly, we've all, to some extent, I guess, learned this new word called furlough, because it wasn't in most people's dictionaries before the government announced what furlough is and how it works. And quite a few people, in fact 2 or 3 have said to me, this is a word that has come from America. It hasn't come from America. This word has always been around. I'm not going to tell you how it came about, because that's a bit personal to me in terms of how it came about, and I think it probably isn't going to be politically correct if I go into that. So if you want to research that, by all means do so. But you can furlough your employees starting from the 20th of March for 3 months. And what that means is that the employee would perhaps, most likely, not perhaps, but most likely would have been made redundant, or you would have laid them off, and the government is offering you an incentive to keep them on. So the government will pay up to 80% of their salary bill, up to a maximum of £2,500. Now that £2,500 includes national insurance contributions and also pension payments. So if somebody was on the payroll for say £2,000, including all those other contributions, then the government will fund 80% of that, which gives you £1,600 per month. And if they are being paid £2,000 or more, then the government will only fund up to 80% of the £2,000 limit that they have set. And the payroll, they are going to use the payroll run for the month ending the 28th of February. So some people have asked, I'm on a low salary, can I increase my salary now and get paid more? The answer is no, you can't do that, because obviously you'd have filed your payroll for the month ending the 28th of February, and that is the figure that HMRC are going to use to establish your payroll. Now that's the first thing that you need to bear in mind. If you haven't registered for payroll, then obviously this isn't going to apply to you. I had one chap ring me up and said my accountant's charging me £300 to set me up for payroll, and I said don't do it because you're not going to qualify. So save yourself the £300 because it's not going to work. This another question being asked is, when will I get the money? So HMRC are saying they'll have their system set up by the end of April, and from the information that I have and the conversations I've had with them, the payments will start trickling in from early May. What that means is you need to fund the payroll for the month ending March and also for the month ending April. And if you are struggling with cash flow, then what you'll have to do is use the funds which you would have used to pay your VAT and your PAYE, because there's deferrals available on that to fund your salary and your payroll cost, and I'll come on to those in a short while. When an employee is furloughed, they cannot work for you, so you can't say to your employees, carry on working and let's put you on furlough. That is not how the rules work. So they must, once they've been furloughed, they have to sit at home basically, and they can't work for you. And as I understand it, they can't work for anybody else either. So they're getting paid to do absolutely nothing for the interim period while we get through this particular crisis. If you made an employee redundant, what you can do is you can still furlough them. So you can call them back, furlough them, and help them through the next few months to help them with their cash flow. And if an employer doesn't contact you but they've made you redundant, please go back to them and say, can I come back and can you furlough me? They should say yes, because it's not costing them anything, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. So go back to your employer if they've made you redundant and ask them to furlough you. I have a very simple furlough agreement, and I'm happy to share that with you. Again, if you've seen it on social media and you want a copy of the furlough agreement, let me know and I will most happily share it with you. Some employers will pay the additional 20%, so 80% is coming from the government, and some employers are making up the other 20% by paying it. You're under no obligation or compulsion to pay that, but if you can afford it, or you want to help out your employees because obviously they've got overheads that they need to meet, then you can make up the other 20% if you like. If you're struggling and you can't, then you can pay the 80%, and hopefully your employee will agree to that, because I assume the other option is for you to make them redundant so they'll have no job. So it's either take 80% of up to £2,500 or you haven't got a job. So most employees, I assume, and I hope, will take the 80% because that will keep them going. Sole directors are asking, can they go on furlough? And from what I've checked yesterday, you can. The problem is this: if you go on furlough, you can't work for your company or for your limited company. Therefore, what that means is your company is due to shut down. So if your company is going to shut down because there's nobody running it, because as a director you've got certain fiduciary duties, then fine. But you can't go on furlough and carry on working for your company. There's one or the other. So my advice to you is to wait, sit tight. The government is working on coming up with some new grants and allowances, or call them what you like, for the self-employed. They are having some difficulty because they're saying they find it very difficult to track how much money self-employed people make and what to base it on. I just thought it was very simple, just to use self-assessment and look at their tax returns, but the government is saying they want to make this whole initiative practical and principled. So I don't know where the principle bit comes in. Quite simple is, if you're supporting their employees, then you should also support business owners, because there's, I think, about 5.2 million business owners or small business owners in the UK, small to medium sized, and it's only right that the government offers some support to them, because right now most of us, including me, don't know where to go, and we don't know if we're going to have a business in a month, 2 months or 3 months time. So that support needs to come sooner rather than later, but I know the government is working on it. So sit tight, and as soon as I hear something, I'll either do a video or send you something through social media or via an email. So that's the second thing that you need to bear in mind in terms of, first one is the business interruption loan, second is furlough, the third one is there's a small business grant fund available, which will be administered through your local authority, through your council. And if you qualified for small business rate relief as at the 11th of March, so that's per the new budget announcements, and your rateable value is less than £15,000, you will receive a £10,000 grant from the government through your local authority. And if you are also qualified for rural relief, then you'll also qualify. So this is for small business rates relief and also rural rates relief. If you are in the leisure, hospitality or the retail sector, and your rateable value is more than £15,000 but less than £51,000, then a grant of £25,000 is available to you. Again, will be administered through the local authority, and I'm a councillor in Peterborough. I've had a conversation with our finance director and our senior officers. They are going through the legislation, updating their systems, and they're telling me that they will be up and running on Monday, which is the 30th of March. I assume other councils are either up and running or will be up and running by then. So you can either wait for them to contact you, but my advice to my clients is contact your local authority on Monday so that you're ahead of the game, and you can start talking to them and see if you A, qualify, and B, how quickly you can get the money, because if you wait for them to contact you, it might take a bit longer. Number 4, tax, my favorite area. First of all, self-assessment. So you need to make your payment on account by the 31st of July 2019. However, the government has suspended that or deferred that for now. So no payment on account to be made, and you need to make that payment on account by or before the 31st of January 2021. So that's going to help you with some cash flow. PyE payments, if you can't make those, you need to contact HMRC and agree a time to pay arrangement. I'm being told that they will be giving up to 3 months. So contact them and enter into a time to pay arrangement. And if they obviously agree to that, then you'll get some extra cash flow, and you can use some of that cash flow to fund your business, some of that cash flow, of course, to fund payments towards your employees. VAT, no payments due until after the 30th of June this year, and for those missing payments, you'll have to make up for them by the 5th of April 2021. So if you're on a direct debit system, you might want to cancel that direct debit in case HMRC take the money out by mistake. Some people are doing that, other people are not doing that and are having faith in the system and saying HMRC won't take the money. What you do is totally up to you, but you don't have to pay VAT until after the 30th of June this year. If you're a limited company or a limited liability partnership and you can't file your accounts with Companies House, you need to call them up and come to an agreement. So they will not give you an automatic deferral. You need to ask for one. So contact Companies House and they will sort that out for you. If an employee is off sick with COVID-19 or the coronavirus, the government will give you up to 2 weeks statutory sick payments. So keep an eye on that. Any employees are off, then make sure you claim SSP for small business owners who haven't got enough profits right now and need additional income. Then you can claim universal credit. That isn't much, to be honest. So you might want to hold on for now and wait until the government comes up with some new legislation in terms of what they're going to do for small business owners and the self-employed community, and hopefully that's going to be enough to keep us going for now. Obviously depends on how much money you are making and what your disposable income is and what you use that towards, but it's going to be a fixed figure of some sort. I'm being told it's around 2,600 or thereabouts, and it's going to be 80% of that. It's not been finalized, so we don't know what the exact figure is. And when I do know what the figure is, I will happily let you know. This isn't the next one isn't a tax related exemption as such, not an exemption but a deferral. But if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, speak to your lender and they will give you a 3-month payment holiday. The same applies to buy-to-let landlords, so please do that. So those are some of the things which I hope will help you. Again, if you want our business information pack, add it into the comments below. If you're seeing this video on social media, I'll happily add a link to that. If you want a furlough agreement, and I'll happily share a copy of what we have. If you have any of the questions, queries, concerns, add them in the comments below. I will try and answer them as best as I can. If I see there's some common questions, I'll happily do a video. I hope you found that useful. I hope you and your family stay safe. I know it's a challenging time. It's also a time which is testing our systems and processes and our operations. So it's an opportunity to get them in order, to work from home. And I know in our team, we're now using Asana. We're also using Teams, which is working exceptionally well. So maybe look at some of those online platforms. We are going to get through this safely, hopefully. And at the other end, we'll have lots of opportunity to make up for this blip, but also then to work together as a business community, as a country together, united. And I have no doubt that the economy will get stronger, it's going to improve, and we're all going to benefit. But we need to see this through and look after your neighbours, people who are vulnerable, and please, please, please follow guidance from the government. stay at home if you've got the virus, self-isolate, follow exactly what the government says, because they've got scientific advisors who know what they're talking about, and we must follow their advice if we are to get through this sooner rather than later. I hope you find that useful. If you have any questions, please contact me and my team. We're here to help you. Bye for now.